Party choice for President of the United States, Senator John F. Kennedy.
Big news story of the past 7 days was not Mr. Khrushchev or the presidential campaign. It was the news out of Boston that Mr. Ted Williams had retired as an active ball player for the Boston Red Sox. It seems that at 42 he was too old. It does show that perhaps experience doesn't count. Some of the experts are saying that this is 1928 all over again. For the sake of the farmer, the worker, the merchant, and the teacher, for the sake of all those who remember the days of 10-cent corn and 10% interest, I trust it will not be 1928 all over again. I think it will be 1948 all over again. Much is different between 1948 and 1960, but much is the same. It was 2 years earlier in 1946 that President Truman brought to Fulton College one of the great figures of the English-speaking world. And on that historic day in March, Winston Churchill bluntly confronted our nation and the world with the fact that from Stettin in the Baltic to Trieste in the Adriatic, an iron curtain has descended across the continent. He warned the world that time is plenty short, that we cannot, and I quote him, take the course of allowing events to drift along until it is too late, and that our difficulties and dangers will not be removed by closing our eyes to them or by merely waiting to see what happens. He called for action to establish conditions of freedom throughout the world, to strengthen our Western alliances and the United Nations. And he particularly emphasized these words, which have meaning for us today. From what I have seen of our Russian friends and allies during the war, I am convinced that there is nothing they so much admire as strength, and there is nothing for which they have less respect than weakness. We cannot afford, if we can help it, to work on narrow margins, offering temptations to a trial of strength. These prophetic words of 1946 are true in 1960. If we are to protect our heritage of freedom, if we are to maintain it around the world, we must be strong, militarily, educationally, scientifically, and morally strong. I have confidence in this nation's ability to look out for its older citizens, to see they have a decent pension and a decent home and decent medical care. The people who oppose this program for medical care under Social Security are the very same people who fought President Roosevelt in 1935, the very same people who supported Alf Landon in his campaign of 1936, running on the single platform of repealing Social Security. They said then it would mortgage our future and socialize our economy. But the Democratic Party of Franklin Roosevelt had confidence in the United States, and I have equal confidence that we can do a far better job than this administration has done in this area as in so many others. I think it's time that this nation faced up to the agricultural revolution, which is a great asset, which is a great source of defense, which is a great source of peace, and a great source of security to us in a hungry world. We have confidence in the United States. That is the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats this year. They say we've never had it so good, and we say we can do better. They say they've never done so much, and I say we can do more. And I say we have to do more, because if the United States is not prepared to realize its potential to the fullest, to have the best educational system in the world, to give our citizens their equal constitutional rights, to move ahead as a vital and strong economy, then this country is not going to be able to sustain itself and will not serve as the chief defender of freedom around the world. Mr. Nixon has said recently that parties don't count. What counts are the men. But I think what counts are the kinds of party and the kind of men that those parties produce. I would not have been nominated by the Republican Party, nor would have Harry Truman, and the Democrats never would have nominated Richard Nixon. The fact is that the parties tell something. The political parties run like rivers through the history of this country, and their force and power and direction and the movement of the flow all tell something about the movement in the future. What is past is prologue, and the record of our two parties is written for the future as it has been for the past. I think the Democratic Party has again a rendezvous with destiny, an opportunity to be of service not only to ourselves, not only to our own country, but to all those who look to us. I cannot believe that the American people are going to say in 1960 that we've never had it so good and we want more of the same. I think they're going to want to cross the new frontier. And I think that all those who agree that we never want to have a trial of strength agree that it's incumbent upon us to rebuild the strength of the United States. I do not say that that job will be easy. During the next 4 years, the American presidency will be at all times what Harry Truman called the loneliest job in the world. There will be dangers and difficulties on every side for our country. There will be crises both within and without. But it is, I think, our intention to bear in mind the words of Lincoln during the darkest days of the Civil War. Many were fearful of the outcome, and many were concerned about our survival. And when a delegation called on the President to express its fears, Lincoln told them of an experience of his youth. One night in November, he said, a shower of meteors fell from the clear night sky. A friend standing by was frightened. But I looked up, and between the falling stars, I saw the fixed stars beyond, shining serene in the firmament. And I said, let us not mind the meteors. Let us keep our eyes on the stars. As we face a difficult and sometimes dangerous future, let us look beyond the fiery meteors of the present and look to the steady stars that have guided this country through so many difficult times.